After a week of going road racing in the lefts and rights in the hills and spills of Sonoma, California, we head back east, but this time just to the Midwest for Iowa Speedway, round number 4 of the 2022 Area Truck Series. Welcome back to SimTV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna. Finian, welcome aboard. Tonight, 150 laps from this 0.87-mile circuit. Last night, we saw some great cup racing here. Tonight, a 40-truck field for the Area Truck Series, round 4.
Yeah, we saw some absolutely fantastic battling all race long. These guys never gave themselves room to breathe. They were constantly fighting, duking it out throughout the entirety of the race. And I think for the trucks, you might see something similar here. It's a fairly small track to have 40 cars running around here, so there's not going to be a whole lot of space to really get separated. These guys will be constantly on top of each other.
This track is relatively new. Newton, Iowa, home to about 15,000 people. This racetrack constructed back in 2005, one of the newest tracks on the NASCAR calendar. Of course, Iowa Speedway hosts several driving schools year-round. If you didn't know, this place has a roval. We're not on it tonight, but here's a look at the top of the screen. You can see the entrance off the banking here. Then you take a left, another left, a right, back left onto the main racetrack. And not a roval that has seen use in some time, at least for professional series, but the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series did go there in the mid-2000s, right when this track opened up.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that it does have a roll. I think that's one of those things that people were like, really? It does have a roll? And yeah, and the fact that it was also ran in professional competition too, not just for track days. Oh, as a driver goes flying up in the air, I think that's what, Shane Abbey in the number 12?
Well, Shane Abbey going skyward there. Yes, the roval. An interesting circuit, to say the least. And yes, you can drive it here in iRacing. If you haven't tried it, you should give it a go. Maybe not with a stock truck, though. As we head down to the racetrack here let's take a look at the weather. 66 degrees in the air, 72 on the racetrack, but the sun is getting lower in the sky. That means we'll be heading towards the nighttime. And that means that track temp will fall a little bit closer to ambient by the time we get to the end of this 150-lap race. Given how fast this track runs at about 23 seconds, we should see this race take less than an hour if we go green from start to finish. But as we saw last night, Finian, it's not that simple.
No, it's not, and really it's going to depend on how the setup is going to be driving for these guys tonight. Last night, we heard reports that the setup was really on the tight side. Tire was going to be an issue, and that definitely was an issue for a lot of drivers last night. So the trucks will see, obviously it's a different machine, so the setup might be a little bit different. And also you have the factor of it being nighttime, not necessarily coming, not necessarily being nighttime yet, but nighttime coming, and that potentially leading to cooler track temps and better conditions for the tires and hopefully for the drivers.
Yeah, certainly. So 150 laps is the race distance tonight. James Scioli is currently on the top of the board here in practice. Runs second in the standings, 1 point behind Ryan Hartz. Jordan Hurley, James Scioli, and Ryan Hartz each have 1 win, and each have at least 2 top 10s out of the 3 races we've done so far. They're off to a really good competitive start. Familiar names here, Finian, but who do you think has the upper edge coming into this evening?
It's going to be tough to say. I got to say maybe Brad Slaughter has probably got the edge, just currently third in the practice standings, and is yet to get a win in this series. So I imagine he's hungry to get a first win on the board. We know he's fast, and I'm sure he's hungry just to get himself locked in to the playoffs. And that's always the biggest thing you want to do as a driver with this playoff standings. As we look at them right there on the board, Hartz, Hurley, and Scully all locked in. You want to try to get yourself locked in as early as possible, because after that you can kind of just have semi-smooth sailing up until when the playoffs start.
There's a good look at that Area Truck Series playoff picture after race 3 of 17. Hartz, Hurley, and Scioli are locked in. The battle on the cut line is between Anna Sogak and Garrett Grant. AJ Roderick, Rafe Slate, Ryan Swan, Cameron Hearn, Swerven Irvin, and more are on the outside looking in. And then, of course, there are some regulars, Bell, Beckner, Weishart, Fambro, Abbey, Slaughter, and Wilson that are inside the top 10 in the standings coming into the night. But it's all going to be a battle throughout the evening, and qualifying as last night, it seemed like that was important, but we ended up having quite a bit of mobility last night. A lot of drivers that charged their way through. It took them nearly the entire race, Finian, and once they got up there, they were in the mix.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably see something similar to like that. You're going to see a lot of comers and goers again. This track is going to eat up tires a little bit again. I don't think quite as bad as last night, but we have to see. But I think if you can manage your tires, manage your equipment, guys who can do that on the long run, they'll really benefit quite a bit, and we'll see them slowly work their way up the orders. And obviously also want to keep the truck clean, want to keep yourself out of incidents with 40 trucks here tonight that can come quicker than you think. You may be accidentally involved if you're not paying attention.
And strategy can certainly be a component of that as well. Tires wearing over the course of this 150 lap race. If we do have those long green flag runs like we are potentially expecting, you could end up with certainly some strategy over those long distance runs, and then of course the short runs. We saw that be a big factor last night. The short run was what won the race, so you have to keep that and some extra speed in your back pocket for when that comes to be important towards the end of the night.
In fact, there's still 2 minutes left to go here. Taking a look at the number 85 rolling out of pit lane. Jeffrey Wilson currently sitting 19th on the board.
Jeffrey Wilson out of Florida, rolling up to speed here in the number 85. That's one of the 5-wide sports cars. There are a whole handful of those in the field here as well. Cameron Hearn up to 4th in the running order here at the moment, here at the tail end of practice. Brad Slaughter Jr., Ryan Hartz-Scioli 3rd, 2nd, and 1st here. Matt Bell, Travis Beckner last night had plenty of issues in the Cup Series race and maybe looking for a bit of redemption this evening.
Yeah, we'll see. He had gotten into race Slate early on in the race last night, and then Slate gave him some payback later on in the event.
Oh.
So we'll see. Both the drivers are going to be racing here. You see Beckner hit the wall pretty hard out of turn 4. Both of them are going to be in the same race tonight here. We'll see if they encounter each other once again.
Here's a look from on board Beckner and how quickly this truck snapped. Could this be an indicator of some handling issues? Big overcorrection there, and it just snapped into the outside wall. And that makes me a little bit nervous, Finney. Last night it was understeer drivers were fighting. Could it be oversteer tonight? That's the problem.
It very could be. Again, it really all comes down to setup. And I think if we do see, I have been noticing a couple guys spinning, especially off of turn 4. He's not the only one that we've seen spinning. So there's been quite a few drivers having some handling issues. So we could be seeing the setup be a little bit more on the loose side. Now, obviously, some drivers prefer it, some drivers don't. It really depends on your driving style. What I do think that's going to show is that it might be harder to run some of the other lines, especially that outside lane, because you're carrying so much speed that puts a lot of load on the tire, and you could see these guys breaking loose.
Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You can earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can redeem for free merchandise. That is twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Subscribe to the iRacing practice is complete. Qualifying is kicking off in just a minute here. Last night we saw some really interesting things that go off in qualifying. I think about a third of the field went faster on their first lap and 2/3 went faster on their second, but those that went faster on their first were right at the top of the board, Finney, and so we'll see if that kind of splits the strategy here. How do you set yourself up qualifying with a field this deep? It's very, very technical.
Yeah, I think so. I want to say that we might see more guys run with the first lap because as we see in the next gen, the tire scenario, it's a little bit weird and a little bit off, where it takes a little bit more to wear out the tires. So that might be why we saw some guys benefit more from the second lap. I also did see some guys just running slow on the first lap and then like significantly slow off the pace, kind of putting around and then going on their flying lap, second lap around as Hartman's out on his lap.
Logan Hartman, one of the first drivers to get up to speed here for qualifying. Himself up on that Roasted Gems Coffee starting grid. And Hartman heads off into turn number 1. Right here, watch this bump in the middle of turns 1 and 2 right there. You see the nose of the truck bouncing up and down. Doesn't like that very much. And I think that contributed to a couple of incidents last night. Just that nasty bump and the landing that you have in the nose of the truck. That can be very exciting when you've got some wheel in the truck trying to keep it from getting loose.
And Hartman's going to come across the line. One of the first guys to put a time down. Where does it put him? He's going to put him up into second place, just in behind Leif Hicks, currently on the top of the board in the 53. As the times slowly are coming in, there's not a whole lot of drivers on the track.
No, it's pretty slow takers. But again, as the session is getting cooler, we work our way towards nighttime. Maybe there's a little incentive to go out later. You've got 8.5 minutes. There's no rush to get on the road. Here's Ryan Swan now across the line. He is starting his first flying lap, and this time running the rim here. You see the big bumps up on the outside of the racetrack too. He's backing it way down and maybe setting himself up for the second lap. This is that strategy that I was talking about here, though, Finney, and unique way to take qualifying at Iowa.
I was just watching Ron Hartz try to put his lap down. He actually bailed out of his flying lap, so he didn't even come across the line as Ryan was coming back. Start his flying laps. He's only got one attempt here. He's going to put all all the marbles down. That's the big issue when you try to use that first lap to build up speed. You have to make sure the second lap counts, otherwise you're going to be starting from the back.
Danny Ware up to the top of the board in the double zero at a 23.212 by 0.07 of a second over Cahill Holmes. And comes Swan now out of turn 4 across the line at 23.6. That was not a very fast lap. It'll only put him 11th. As you mentioned, Ryan Hart's here. He comes out of turn 4.
Coming to complete lap number 1 for him. Up into third for the number 3. Very fitting. We'll see. He's going to continue on for a second lap. Getting improved. Rafe Slate joined him just in behind. Currently sitting in 5th as Colin Fambro jumps up into second with a 23.219.
Good strong run there for Fambro. Jumps up into second place for now. Shane Abbey is on track. Carter Coop and more. And Sogak, you mentioned, here he comes to complete his start his first flying lap. Again, up the racetrack, but at speed, it looks.
And of note, Ryan Hartz went for a second lap and managed to gain 1 spot, just overtook Cahill Holmes for third place.
Sogak now out of turn 4. This will conclusion of his first flying lap at a 23.691. That will be the slowest on the racetrack, but this second lap, this is where that speed is going to pay off for him, saving those tires for the second run.
Working his way through 3 and 4. We're seeing a lot of guys just right above the yellow line, not quite getting all the way down there because you lose too much speed getting all the way down. Back up towards the wall, across the line. Does he improve? He does, up into 8th for the 88.
Bad run. Here's Travis Beckner, Area 500 winner in the Cup Series this season. Starting his first flying lap. Well, it's right on board with Beckner. Watch this bump right here, middle of the corner. Truck settles back down. Nice, smooth steering inputs for Beckner. But again, different line on the bottom of the racetrack this time versus the top. Much smoother in 3 and 4.
Easy again to keep it coming out of turn 4. That's the big issue. That's when the truck likes to snap loose. Cross line for Beckner. 23.392 up into 13th.
Right down on the apron there. You see the suspension almost retract into the body of the truck. Slams over that bump on the apron. Beckner enters turns 3 and 4 now. Jeff Ryan goes 20th quick on his second and final lap. Here comes Beckner out of turn 4. Will he improve this time? No, he will not. He will stay only 13th quick. Whoa, big slide into turn 1.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if that was a frustration slide out of him. Matthew Bell just coming across the line to complete his first lap, 23.219, up to second place for the number 9 truck.
Good lap for him. David Weishardt's on his first flyer.
He's going around. Cameron Hearn up on his second lap. He comes across the line. I was a bit surprised to see him down the board in practice. Going to be up the board in qualifying, at least provisionally, up in 6th for the 67 truck.
Here comes Weishardt now across the line in the 33, 23.296. That's going to be good enough for about 9th place, right ahead of Justin Munsill. Bobby Tinch in the 66 Matco Tools truck rolls through turns 3 and 4, finishing out his first lap. Big slide there. Can he keep the foot in it? 23.652. That'll be a disappointing first lap.
And we'll see if he can improve. Some guys have managed to improve. Some guys haven't. It really seems like it depends. Some guys have been able to find more speed. Other guys not so much. As Tinch works his way down the second half of the lap.
3 and 4 for Bobby Tinch. A little bit loose again. Facing it up the hill. And 23.814. He will go slower the second time by. Brad Slaughter Jr. is rolling. AJ Roderick already is. Simrap Market Car, the truck rather, the 56, where he is off a turn.
And actually just ahead of him, Jordan Hurley, winner at Rockingham just a few weeks ago, is also about to come flying across the line. He's actually up on the top, so I think he was using this as a banker lap. Now going to go for his flyer.
396 puts him up in 17th spot as Otter rolling now. Where did Roderick ended up in 20th on his first lap? But Hurley out of turn 4 this time. A little bit of counter steer there. See the notch on the steering wheel back to the right. 23.243. Good enough for 4th place for Jordan Hurley, winner early in the season. AJ Roderick picks up 1 spot. And there's Paul Irvin. Swervin Irvin in the number 48. Christopher Tate jumps up to 5th. Here's Irvin now with 3 minutes to go left in qualifying.
And Brad Sauter went up into 9th place and is called it quits for a second lap, so he's not going to improve anymore. James Scioli also out on the track in his number 7 truck.
Yeah, Scioli waited to the very end here in qualifying, and all of his foes have already put times on the board. Scioli working his way on his first lap. Let's follow Irvin. Little counter steer correction there at a 23.3, not a bad lap. That'll put him 17th place. We'll bail out on that as we go back to Scioli, catch him out of turn 4.
Across the line, first lap complete for the number 7, 23.211. Should put him up near the top of the board, up near the top indeed, just by 1,000th of a second over Danny Ware.
Yeah, 23.211 to a 23.212 for Ware, so that will put immediately the number 7 truck up to the top. Looks well, their position swaps here. Eric Wineland is on track, Jacob Bell. Those two will be the last couple drivers. Wineland just getting wound up here. But it looks like he's also going to take the first lap. Kind of set up for that second one.
I think this is Jarvis is trying to build up a little bit of heat in the tires to get them up to a better operating temperature, then going on the second lap. That's what I imagine the thought process is.
Into turn 3 for Wineland. Jacob Bell also on his first flying lap. These will be the last 2 qualifiers for this field.
Bell spins, actually.
Oop, on the back straightaway, Bell goes around. Wineland only 35th fastest on his first lap, but lap 2 picks the middle of the racetrack. Interesting line.
Yeah, been interesting. Going to come off high off into turn 2. I think that's going to kill a lot of his momentum in time. We'll see here if he can bounce back in 3 and 4, maybe still make something out of this lap. But I'm not quite too sure. Out of turn 4 seems to be collecting down across the line. Does he improve from 35th?
Yeah, only to 15th. That will do it for qualifying.
No, we still got Jacob Bell.
Oh, is he still rolling?
Yeah, he got back out on the track. He reset his lap. He still had a second lap to go, so this will be his only lap here, right down to the wire.
Using every second remaining here in this session, he will come out of turn number 4. And his only qualifying lap is going to be a 23.4, which is going to put him about 25th spot. So not a great effort there for Bell, but he will have work to do here in the race. We'll kick off here in just a moment's time. I'd like to take a moment to thank our starting grid sponsor, and that is Roasted Gems Coffee. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. So with that, we'll head down to the racetrack here and get started in just a couple of minutes for our 150-lap race. And as I mentioned earlier in the pre-race, this race will take about an hour if we go green from start to finish, and maybe even a little less. If we get yellows, that's what slows the pace down. And last night we saw yellows trigger yellows, Finian. But I can't recall a lot of races at Iowa that were that yellow heavy. I think that was an outlier. We'll see a lot of green flag racing tonight. I'm going to make that proposal. I think we'll see a lot of green flag racing and maybe some green flag pit stops too. That waiting on the starting grid here for our 150-lap event tonight for the Area Truck Series, round number 4 of the season. Fans, make sure you tune in 2 weeks' time. We have a week off next week, but then we head to Indianapolis Raceway Park for our 5th round, followed by Atlanta, Darlington, and Bristol. Go short track, speedway, short track for Charlotte, New Hampshire, Pocono, and Talladega set us up for the Area Truck Series playoffs. Stay tuned here as we wait for the warm-up period to elapse, and we'll get rolling here in just a couple minutes. And you're watching the Area Truck Series round number 4 from Iowa. Just under a mile and 150 laps heading into the sunset here in New Iowa, just off of the interstate. If you've driven by it, you'll know. Rolling hills of the Iowa Expanse, and torn up in 2005 to create Iowa Speedway. Seen Xfinity Series racing and Truck Series racing and many driving schools and things and the like, including the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series back in the mid-2000s on the Roval in the center of the infield. That's what we've seen here in the past, but tonight it's the Area Truck Series, 4th round of the season. Next week, an off week for all the Area Series, will return with Gateway on November 7th for the Area Cup Series. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney and DeCuna. In just a couple moments, we'll turn you loose with a 40-truck field here from Iowa Speedway and bring you your Roasted Gems Coffee starting grid. Well, we've got a moment. Take another one of our sponsors. Tonight, you're going to see that SimWrap Market replay. Fans, be sure to check out simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. And make sure you subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel for only $5 a month. You can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You can earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem free merchandise. Qualifying is complete. We'll head down to the racetrack here. Roll you through our starting lineup here for tonight's event. 2 pace laps, and the time estimate for the race is 58 minutes. Again, if we go green from the beginning of the race to the end. Kicking things off on row number 1, it's James Scioli in the number 7 truck. He's on the inside. He's won a race this season, looking for another. Denny Ware starts on the outside of row 1 in the 00 truck.
Yeah, moving on back to row number 2, it's going to be Matthew Bell in the number 9 on the inside. Next, and Colin Fammer on the 18, going to be rolling off in 4th.
Starting in 5th, it's Jordan Hurley in the number 5 truck. Christopher Tate starts 6th in the number 6 truck on the outside.
Back in 7th is going to be Ryan Hartz in the number 3. Outside of him, Shane Abbey in the number 12, going to be rolling off in 8th.
Starting on the inside of row number 5, in 9th place is Cameron Hurd, the number 67. Alongside him will be Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 8 Chevrolet. Matco Tools truck starts on the outside of row 5.
Inside of row 6, 41, Cahill Holmes. Next to him, Ray Slate in the 08, rolling off in 12th.
13th place is David Weishart, the number 33. Justin Munsell in that pink Toyota Tundra rolls off in 14th in the number 20.
Back in behind them in 15th to 20, Eric Milan going to be starting the inside. Garrett Grant in the 46 going to be rolling off in 16th.
17th place is Justin Anasogak in the number 88. Tommy Ryan starts 18th in the Roasted Gems Coffee starting grid in the number 99.
Back in 19th to 25, Cody Cutter in 19th place. Next to him in 20th, Paul Irvin in the 48 truck.
Tyler Hallman starts 21st in the number 42. Michael Leip starts 22nd in the number 26 truck.
Back behind them, 23rd, Travis Beckner in the 28 truck. Next to him, the 56, AJ Broderick in 24th.
25th place is going to be Jacob Bell, the number 77, and Jordan Martin in the number 11 in 26th.
Back 27, 53, Lee Hicks going to be on the inside. Next to him, Jeff Noe in the 55 in 28th.
In 29th place on the inside, it's James Shainwolf in the number 2, and Josh Taylor rolls off in 30th, the number 57.
Back in 31st, the 24 truck of James Coey. Next to him, 32nd, Jeff Ryan in the 37.
33rd place is Ryan Swan's number 19 truck. Matthew Cochran starts 34th in the number 4.
Back in 35th, Logan Harmon in the 51. Bobby Tinch outside of him in the 66 truck.
Carter Coop starts 37th, the number 52, and 38th is the number 85 of Jeffrey Wilson.
And rounding out field of 39 trucks, Charles Canina in the 44.
That's your Roasted Gems Coffee starting grid. And fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. Field rolls through turns 3 and 4. James Scioli is your pole sitter. He's won a race this season. He is looking for another. Time to go racing from Iowa Speedway here. 150 laps, round 4 of the season. And green flag flies. We're racing at a short track here. Scioli with a strong start. Field fans out into turn 3. Some drivers way up on the outside wall. Lap 1 complete though. Scioli leads the way. Bell second. Ware, Fambro, Tate the rest of your top 5. Here's Ryan Hartz on the inside of somebody down in turn 1. That's the 5 of Jordan Hurley.
Yeah, them both battling for position. Hart's trying to get a spot on the 5. Weishart with a good run off the corner, almost getting the inside of Ryan Hart off the corner. They're all battling with Brad Slaughter. It's a mess down for those few first places here, just outside the top 5.
And Brad Slaughter on the outside. And last night we saw multiple grooves come into play. Shane Abbey squeezes up to the outside of Rafe Slate. That's that yellow numbered 12 on the outside of the body armor car. Trying to make that upper groove work. We saw multiple grooves work plenty last night. And it didn't seem like any particular line came and went away. You could find speed on either line at any point in the night.
It looks like guys trying out that outside lane to get those runs off the corner definitely can be a big help. We'll see how much better it is in the inside lane. We saw that was definitely a place to be if you wanted to make a move last night. I feel a similar story is what's going to happen for tonight's race.
On board with Paul Irvin in the number 48, trying to make ground on the high side. Tommy Ryan ahead of him, following Garrett Grant. That 46 truck way up the road, and again fanning out. And then it all kind of condenses out of turn 4 here. This is kind of Calamity Corner at Iowa, because everyone kind of understeers there later in the run. They end up pushing up the racetrack and getting into each other. So look at this, still 3 wide here. The 26 truck of Michael Leip in the middle of it all. Leip started this race in 22nd. He's up 3 spots early.
Yeah, it was just about up 4 until Irvin just got around him. And Irvin, speaking of which, the inside of the 6 of Garrett Grant, they're duking it out for 16th place.
Good battle here, not missing anything up front, but except for this, Cameron Hearn on the bottom. Christopher Tate on the outside. Caution is out. And Bobby Tinch around on the front straightaway.
Here to see if he got any help.
Right here out of turn 4. Nope, just got loose all on his own. On the Matco Tools truck out. And our first caution is out here at lap number 6 of 150. Way too early to come down pit lane, I think, Finian. At this stage, you're kind of just buying time.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's going to be as short as it was last night, and the tire wear was severe. Those guys came mostly every time they were pretty much able to. They came down to get tires and used up pretty much almost all of their tire sets. Don't expect to see these guys that desperate tonight, but you never quite know. Well, we'll give you an update. We haven't lost James Shapewolf. It looks like he's having some internet issues, so he is dropped from the server. We'll see if he can join back.
Tell you what, the internet tonight in general, not doing great across the board. A couple drop frames a little earlier and coming across as a robot man every now and then.
Oh boy.
Now it's not surprising to have some other drivers have some issues. Comcast, if you're listening, see you soon, because getting fiber next month. Ha! Have a look at our race recap so far. Not a very interesting recap at lap number 8, 143 to go. 1 leader. It's been James Scioli the whole time.
Yeah, here to see, I mean, obviously it is early days in this race. Just curious to see if anyone's got any more pace. Try to keep up with the 7, the 9 of Matthew Bell, Colin Famro, Danny Ware, of anyone else further down the field. They have anything to say to the number 7, because as you mentioned, he's pretty much the man to beat tonight.
David Weishart, 33 truck, started 13th, up 1 spot. Factor last night, and Weishart Racing went to victory lane. Do the same this evening. He's got the 41 of Bill Holmes on the inside, just up the road. That Rockwell truck on the inside lane. And Rafe Slate in the 08 and Travis Beckner. Right now they are separated by quite a distance on the racetrack. Beckner all the way back in 28th, but these two had a bit of a run-in in the Cup Series race last night. How much of that do you think carries over into this evening? None, or is that always on your mind?
I don't think it will carry over, because you can imagine the Ammons have got a close watch to see if anything happens. I'm sure if anything does happen from the previous race, from a different series, even if it was the same race in the same series, I think these guys just don't want as much any incident spillover to happen. I think they figured, okay, both you guys got your piece in last night, should be over and done with. Anything going forward, I don't think they really would want to see, and they might actually give a harsher penalty just because they're going to keep running into each other. So I don't think you see anything tonight. That being said, if they do just happen to run into each other again just because of this race, we could see something happen again.
Rise on it. Beckner is running the Rick's Hot Sauce truck, and at this time, it seems like a good time to mention rickshotsauce.com. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie. Well, we've got a moment. The area track record here was a 23.292 by Matthew Robinson. Previously, we broke that record in qualifying tonight at a 23.211, and Ryan Hart's won Bristol Dirt. Nick Trader won this race last season. Now Cameron Hearn led the most laps on short tracks in season 2. That was 130, and that comes out and surprises me as not a very high number of laps. If that's the driver that led the most laps, finishing 130 laps, we've got more laps than that in this race. So it doesn't seem like any one driver was particularly dominant on the short tracks last season.
Yeah, I'm just surprised with Cameron Hearn qualifying effort. Obviously not the best, definitely was better than his practice times were showing, because practice he was all the way down midfield, it seems. Actually, it wasn't that bad, I think, put a good time late on. But qualifying not as particularly good. Back in 9th, he's gone up to 6th, which is pretty good considering we're still only on lap 10. So we'll see if he can kind of flex his muscles, drive up to the front. He's got a few drivers to get to James Coyle, but we'll see if he's got anything underneath that truck to try to help him get back up there.
Field doubling back up again. Season 2 short track averages 6 leaders, 9 lead changes, and 9 cautions for 44 laps. That 6 leaders as an average from Season 2. That tells me how hotly contested it was. And Scioli's going to have Matthew Bell here ready to rip. Now, Scioli, saw him last night mastering those restarts. This restart zone, this is a relatively new rule here in iRacing. And I think Scioli's got these kind of figured out. Matthew Bell, the best he can do is try to match it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got a lot of practice last night, was annihilating the restarts compared to everyone else, was catching everyone else napping and sleeping. So he's kind of got it down to science. We'll see if he can do it again here in the trucks.
Working lap number 12 on the restart. Green flag back in the air. Scioli again fires off nice and clean as we head down towards turn 1. Look at Brad Slaughter Jr. on the bottom, making it 3 wide into turn 1 and spooks the 6 of Christopher Tate up the racetrack, and so does Cameron Hearn. He goes way up the road in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I actually got hip checked by Jordan Hurley. If I'm not mistaken, that's who Hurley ran into at Rockingham, and I think took out Cameron Hearn, if my memory serves me correct.
You are correct about that. Ooh, a little bit of shuffling and bobbling there. Oh, into turn 1, looking out Danny Ware. He almost got clobbered by the 5 as well, and Cameron Hearn is hunting for him.
I was going to say, he looked like he was trying to get back and hit the 5. He's going to try to take him out. We'll see. I don't think he's going to leave him any room on the racetrack this year. They both work past the 00 Danny Ware, now battling amongst themselves for 4th place.
Nicely side by side here, but Hearn tucks in right behind the 5. Watch Ryan Hartz deal with some traffic behind. Now Hearn drops to the bottom here on the bumps in 1 and 2. And it's just hard to build a run here on the bottom of the racetrack. He can kind of run up the hill there.
Yeah, I'm looking the way he's driving. Definitely seems like he's driving a little bit hot under the hood. He was really forcing it down there in 1 and 2. He's trying to build up that run in 3 and 4 on the top side, cut it down, use the momentum to throw it down there into 1 and 2.
He's gaining a little bit of ground, but the frustrating part is here. You get to the backstretch and watch the 5, the run that he's going to get, and it's going to be enough to clear the 67 and drive to the outside of the 18. But Hearn goes back to the bottom here in 3 and 4. What a good fight for 4th spot.
So Hearn's going to have to yield, at least for now. He's been trying to work at it with the 5, but can't quite get there. The issue is he might be using up his stuff a little bit too early, but he's determined to try to find some sort of way around Hurley as Hurley gets loose off of 2.
Playing with inches there, those two are. Brad Slaughter Jr. getting a great view of this battle off the hood. Absolutely nip and tuck here inside the top 5. Scioli and Bell are checking out. Third through 6th, all pretty tight together. And 7th to Christopher Tate. He's got a bit of a pack forming up behind him. Danny Ware, Hartz, Weishart, and more.
And I'm surprised Danny Ware, he's kind of dropped through the order really quick. He's restarted back, and I think 4th place, already down to 8th after only a few laps. So it's not been a particularly good restart. He's looked a little bit further back. Tommy Klein in the 99, this little group in behind them with 20 to 12, as well as 42 to 48. Munsell, Abbey, Holman, and Irvin, respectively.
Hartz now drops to the bottom. Trying to get ground made up here on the 33 of Weishart, running as an open entry. David Weishart racing 4 other trucks. That would be Cameron Hearn, Brad Slaughter Jr., Colin Fambro, and Bobby Tinch. Getting a little tight here out of turn 4, especially with the 6 a little slow.
And everyone's going to be trying to freight train around the outside of the 3 of Ryan Hartz. You look further back, still double foul for this battle.
This is what we saw last night. The field can never really get separated. They were on top of each other all night long, and it made for some very tense moments, especially soon after restarts. The drivers were just getting used to the fresh rubber on their cars. Tonight could be the same story here as we work lap number 20.
Ooh, for the lead, Matthew Bell making a move. It was looking like he was going to have a look down into turn 1. Had a bit of a run, couldn't quite do anything with it, but the 9 is putting pressure.
3 and 33 side by side. And Rafe Slate, sun setting just off turn number 4, gets a great look. The drive off the bottom is so hard to get. That's why everyone kind of leans on the outside lane, kind of as a crutch later in the night to kind of keep their exit speeds high. But then you give up the entry speed, and that's where you can make passes on the bottom.
On the top side, just up ahead. Someone see it, Danny, we're just winning on our Hearts for a second. Hearts going to throw it in 3 and 4. Still struggling to get on by the 0-0.
No changes up front. The battle's happening a little bit deeper in the field behind them. There's Ryan Swan and Travis Beckner that are having a little bit of a scrap, but back up to this one out of turn 2 because kind of twofold, the 3 and 0-0, and then of course that 0-8 on the attack as well.
Slate's trying to move his way onto the order here. Nowhere to go at the moment with them being double foul just in front.
Good battles all the way around the racetrack and getting ourselves kind of settled into a run here. Back to the bottom goes the 3.
Yeah, he's trying to throw it in there. The issue is this really of the run off the corner. You can see where the 0-0 gets back on him, and it's just kind of frustrating for Hearts because he can't really do anything else. He can't even afford to get in behind the 0-0 and try the outside because then he'll just lose spots because they're all backed up in behind him.
Scioli beginning to edge away of Matthew Bell. 0.4 of a second is the gap to the lead. And Hearts is almost clear of the 0-0, but can't quite get there, and everyone's
just
pushing.
Just ahead of them, Brad Slaughter making a move on Cameron Hearn. Hearn going to yield, it seems, off into turn 1.
Yeah, fighting a smart fight for this particular battle. Hearn is not going to hold back the 8, so you might as well let him go and try to run the 5 back down.
Both teammates working together, both part of David Weishart Racing. Speaking of which, going back to the battle involving David Weishart, just ahead of Tommy Ryan, who we're looking at the screen at the moment. And there you can finally see Hart's able to get around Danny Ware. Here comes Weishart on the top side. It looks like everyone's going to try to run it on through Ware. This has not been a good start for him.
No, certainly slipping backwards. Started this race, as you've documented, up in 2nd. He's down in 11th right now, so the race pace is not following the qualifying pace, but maybe that will come back his way like we saw with Jake Nichols last night in the Cup Series race, but I'm not sure how much of this is saving and how much of this is just being slow, and sometimes it's hard to tell.
It seems like he's just dropping a little bit too quickly for me to think that he's saving anything. I mean, it could be wrong, and he could just be saving along, but at the moment, it doesn't look quite good. He's got Race Slate all over the back of him. You can see the guy we're riding on the board with at the moment almost pushed him off into turn 3.
Yeah, but look at Slate back up the exit here a little bit. He's going to get this run just to build some overlap on the 0-0. Has a little bobble, and he's not able to keep alongside the 0-0, but tries the high side in turn 1 to do the same thing again. Build that run for the exit. Oh, contacted in turn 3. He gave him a shot.
Yeah, actually immediately apologized for that over the radio. Didn't mean that.
Yeah, it's really tight quarters. It's very easy just to miscalculate what you're doing or what you think someone else is going to do. It brings the 42 of Tyler Hallman into the mix. We haven't talked about him yet tonight. Running a kind of a day glow livery, pretty similar to that of Justin Anasogak behind him.
And a really good start. Starting 21st up into 13 plus 8 for the 42 truck, potentially more. He goes into his bounds up ahead of him, battling for 11th place.
Drives in on the outside again. You know what I'm noticing is that we're seeing some creeping up towards the middle and high lane really early that we didn't see with the majority last night. I think some of that has to do with the inability for these trucks to drive up off the corner with as much torque as the Cup machines. You can't kind of band-aid a slow exit like you can in the Cup car. So we're seeing drivers begin to trend upwards as they search for exit grip and try to get past each other on a fixed setup when everything's pretty tight.
Yeah, the key for these trucks is trying to maintain the momentum all the way around the racetrack, and obviously the best way to do that is on the top side. Once the tires start to wear out, you're going to have to kind of slow go more and more up the track, just keep the momentum up, because the tires can't keep that truck planted down to the bottom of the lane after now we've been 30 some odd laps on these tires. So these guys are going to start to feel it, and that's why we see them slowly migrate up the track. See Weishart battling now around the outside of Ryan Hart. Should be able to get it done easily off of turn 2.
Already a fifth of the way through the race. 32 laps in of 150, and a nice green flag run forming here. Last night we saw a lot of mistakes on pit lane, namely driving through your pit stall and having to back up, get back in it. So that will penalize you a lot in a green flag stop. Go back up to front to James Scioli, leads the way by 0.6 of a second. Very different lines between Scioli and Matt Bell. Bell was on the bottom in 3 and 4, Scioli up top.
Yeah, I think Bell is trying to see if he can find any more speed, running a different lane from the leader. At the moment, not quite working out, but still maintaining that gap for the most part. Hasn't quite let Scioli get out of his grasp, but that gap's been slowly expanding lap after lap.
So same line in turns 1 and 2, but in 3 and 4, very different approaches here. Scioli up high, Matt Bell down on the bottom as we go back in the field. AJ Roderick in the 56, fighting Michael Lipe in the 26.
Like on the outside, trying to make that lane work. 56 Roderick stuck on the bottom.
Two drivers have essentially been stuck where they started, and they're running real close together out of turn 2, but no progress for either of these two drivers.
The man up ahead of them actually has made the most progress of anyone tonight. Ryan Swan started in 33rd, up into 22nd, up 11 spots since the drop of the green flag, and slowly moving his way forward. But Paul Swerve and Irvin just ahead of him, so you still look at these guys in behind going side by side. Neither one wants to yield.
Into turn 3 now, Light tries the high line above that second dotted line, trying to make ground the longer way around, carrying a bit more speed. As the night progresses, the grip level is going to come up. There's contact, and around goes the 26 into the wall at turn 1. Back down the racetrack and collects one other. That was the 11 of Jordan Martin.
Indeed it was.
Have a look at our Simrat Market replay. We saw it on camera. Here it is again. Down into turn 1. Just a miscalculation there. They both kind of showed up together at the same portion of the racetrack, and Jordan Martin had nowhere to go.
Hey, I'm curious if that was Roderick just throwing it in there, hoping he could turn the truck in more in turn 1 and it is not responding, or if he was purposely running higher to see if he can get the 26 to kind of back out and lose speed.
Well, the 56 is turning down the racetrack. If you watch that again, Finian, watch where the 56 is. See how his right side tires are going to leave that seam. He's turning in. The 26 turns down the racetrack, and that's where the contact happens. You could probably argue that maybe the 56 didn't leave enough lane on the outside, maybe committing him too much to that upper groove. But either way, I think the 26 contributed to that as much as the 56 did. Brings out our second caution of the night. And this time, I think we're going to see everybody on pit lane.
All right, if they're going to want to come down and get some fresh tires, remember these guys have 5 total sets of tires. So that means they can change their tires 4 times in the race. So this will be the first time that everyone's going to be coming down to do so, and we also saw it too last night. Many guys sliding through their pit stalls. It seems like tonight not that big of an issue. Paul Irvin staying out, as well as the 4 Matthew Cochran, and actually also 55 Jeff Noe in behind them. So the truck staying out. I imagine they're going to come back down in. I think that might have been just trying to lead a lap as number 7 James Scioli going to come out of pit lane first. Matthew Bell, Fanro, Hurley, Slaughter, first 5 off of pit lane.
Swerve and Irvin out front. Maybe thinking about conserving tires. No, he's going to make the left onto pit lane here. Down, so that should turn things over eventually back to Scioli. We're about 10 laps from the 1/3 mark of this race. That's how quickly this will go. We keep race green. We're under our second caution of the night. I don't even know. Did Irvin even lead a lap there?
He did not.
Did not.
Yeah.
Matthew Cochran did, though. Number 4 truck takes it away.
Guess he decided really to stay out there and lead a lap. I'm curious to see. I would be kind of surprised if he did stay out. I think before the caution he was running. I'm trying to see here. Well, I was running 32nd.
Oh. See what happens.
So, I wouldn't say it would be the smartest move if you're running in 32nd to stay out on 30, 40 lap old tires almost at this point.
Jeff Noe in the 55. Looks like he's trying the same strategy as well, but waiting for the pit road to open. The pit road was actually closed, had the red lights on the last time by, but he will stay out for now. In call here, Finian, but again, maybe just trying to conserve sets of tires. You get 4 sets to play with. And Let's stop at lap 40. I wouldn't consider early, but with how many more yellows we're probably expecting at the tail end of this race, maybe reserving an extra set by sacrificing some speed now isn't a bad idea. The challenge I have with this is that, if you were running 10th, 15th, 20th, okay. 32nd, though, I think you're going to have a hard time staying out in front of anybody for very long. And the challenge that creates is you're going to get run over and maybe be a caution. So I think Cochran, as I think the other driver peeled on down pit lane, if Cochran decides to stay out, his best strategy here, you've already saved your tires. You've already done that. But I would just make sure that whatever you do on this restart, you don't get run over. If you start to lose a bunch of spots, pull up out of the groove or down to the bottom of the racetrack, let everyone go. You've already accomplished what you set out to do. Now don't get yourself caught up in a wreck trying to finish it off.
Yeah, I'm just a bit surprised that he decided he's trying to save tires. I mean, they're given 4 extra sets. I would think that would be enough, especially because we're running 20 laps less than the guys last night. And even last night, some of the guys, despite having issues with the tire wear, still had an extra set come the checkered flag. So I don't know. I guess he's feeling, he can feel that he needs to save the extra set. Maybe something more is coming, but we're finally back up here. Pace lights on the pace truck now.
Race leader will choose the outside lane for the restart. That will be Matthew Cochran. That will leave Scioli in open groove. Now, Colin Fambro is probably sighing right now because he's going to have to figure out what to do with this Ford truck when they get to turn 1. I predict 3 wide pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Cochran has said that he's going to be potentially making it a little bit more easier on this restart because you can bet that he's going to get run over from the guys that depends on whether that's going to be how aggressive they're going to be in trying to get around, or how aggressive the 4 is going to be to try to maintain position. We'll have to see on this restart. It's going to be interesting.
All right, working lap number 43 on this restart. Approaching the 1/3 mark of this race. Pace truck makes the left onto pit lane. Cochran's in command. Green flag, and he actually gets a pretty good restart. The outside does not. The 33, very slow on the start, and it creates a big stack up heading down to turn 1.
Yeah, very poor start for 33 Weishart. Off in his turn 2, 7 to Skyler, a little bit loose off the corner. That opens the door. Here comes Fambro around the outside.
Did Fambro use this opportunity here on this restart? He gets blocked in by the 4. Nowhere to go. He's going to shoot the middle here and try to throttle up middle 3 wide. Everybody scatters. A little bit of door-to-door contact for a second as Matthew Bell comes back through with a vengeance here.
And I'm sure that the 18 of Fambro is frustrated. It's a clear opportunity he had to make that run forward in the way. You can see now Cochran falling down the order very quickly.
That's a kind of, that's an interesting concept though, because he wouldn't have necessarily had that shot without the 4 truck there in the first place to make sure that Skyler didn't have the advantage.
Fambro on the front straightaway, elevator move top to bottom off of turn 4, going to try to look up the inside.
That's what I was saying, is if Scioli had control of that restart, he might have not had a chance to run down, or for the 18 to run down the 7, but now they're side by side, so blessing maybe in disguise there as Fambro tries to drive back by the 7.
I think there was some smoke on the front straightaway, not sure what caused it, but we do remain green. Heading off into turn 1. Skylie starting to come back on the top side a little bit. Fambro not quite clear. Bell a little bit loose in behind him.
Fighting a losing battle on the bottom, I'm afraid, so he's going to have to get creative and maybe use up the 7, drive in a little deeper, a little harder to try to slide job this, because he is not going to win this fight on the bottom of the racetrack now that the 7 has clear track ahead of him, and Scioli might be able to clear the 18 into turn 1, and he does.
Back somewhat to the status quo, at least for the top 2 spots behind them. Everyone's still trying to get sorted out from that restart. The 3 Ryan Hart's going to clip the wall actually as he battles side by side with Tommy Ryan in the 99. Loses out. Here comes the 5 now of Jordan Hurley up the inside of the 3.
Yeah, that was a little contact there for the 3. The 6 car of Christopher Tate also touched the wall.
Fambro and Bell getting close together into turn 1. Bell getting close to the wall.
Getting physical out here on this restart. Bell tries the high side, caution is out, and there's a multi-car accident on the backstretch. The 52 is 1, then the 37 and 53 all involved here. 3rd caution on the night. Rat Market replay coming your way. See how this happened. 52 just loses it, and the other 2 just, Cochran is one of them. Blew in there, and that before that truck is done. Motor blew.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see. We just saw him up near the front of the field, and now he's going to be essentially out of this race.
Yeah, there wasn't really a lot he could have done there either. That extra set of
yeah.
tires is going to go to waste. Probably will not get any takers on pit lane. So with our third caution out, the 1/3 mark of this race, we'll take a break. We'll be right back after. Back live from Iowa Speedway, the Area Truck Series. Round 4 of the season is underway. 51 laps complete of 150 on the evening. James Scioli, Colin Fambro lead the way as it stands. It has been a wild race so far. Good competition, Finian, but the setup is proving tricky.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a lot of single car spins. I was actually just going to mention too there that smoke on the front straightaway. The 53 truck ended up spinning off of turn 4 one time and ended up collecting, I believe it was the 20, no, not the 26, hang on. Figure out who he ended up getting into real quick. Give me 1 second. Oh, it was the 57 of Josh Taylor that he ended up making contact with. So both of them ended up making contact off of turn 4. They didn't bring out a caution, got very close to doing so, but they didn't. But that was just a few laps prior to the actual caution coming out.
So third caution on the night. Quick look at your Area Truck Series race recap. 100 laps to go. 3 cautions for 12 of our 51 laps complete. 3 leaders, 4 lead changes. So here's the fun thing, is we are exactly on track for averages that we talked about. Average of, maybe we're a little above average. Average of 6 yellows, I think, was the numbers. We're working lap number 52 now, and we should be lap 54 on the restart. We're making a comment, ad break there, that the cautions are like a lap longer than you'd expect them to be based on the number, the minimum number that's required to cycle everybody through. And it seems like they're right, but then once trucks go a lap down, it creates kind of a 2 extra lap caution. I haven't experienced before, but there are a couple tracks in iRacing that take a little longer, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I remember before they even added the short cautions, and they revamped it, and then every caution was long, especially, here it's not too bad, it's a short track, but at Talladega and Daytona, oh boy, it was painful until they added the option to get rid of an extra pace lap. That makes a big difference there.
So Scioli and Fambro run the way right now. I think of our 3 cautions, 2 of them have been self-spins. And it's not kind of in the tail half of the field, both of those times. Lights are off on the pace truck, and that means we'll be going green next time by. Scioli chooses the outside lane. Now, this is something that Fambro should be note-taking about right now, because last night in the Cup Series race, late race restarts and capitalizing was extremely challenging for the guy that was on the outside or the inside of the restart leader. So really got to science this out, figure out what he's doing, and try to match him the best you can, because this is not going to get any easier. Really have to rise to the occasion here, because otherwise you want to be behind the leader, not right next to him on this race.
Yeah, we'll see what he's going to do. He's actually looks like he's trying to line up as far back as he can to try to see if he can have a look at the 7 when he's going to go. Because it's really tough being the guy starting alongside the leader, because you have to basically use a button or look out the side and try to see where he's going. That can kind of mess you up, and that's why a lot of these guys have been struggling. It's
entirely reactionary as well. You can't gamify it anymore. It's off the leader, and immediately James Scioli lights the rear tires up, and he's gone. Side by side for second, though. We're going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Brad Slaughter Jr. again with a big move. He's been an aggressive driver on the restarts to try to get spots. He will do the same on this one.
Now with Tommy Ryan working around the outside of Matthew Bell, just alongside the 8 and the 9. as they go off turn 3 now. Ryan trying to clear. Slaughter still fighting on that inside lane.
Really tight stuff. And look at Christopher Tate grabbing second spot away. He noses ahead of the 18 into turn 3.
Yeah, we mentioned a whole lot about the 6 truck. He's been fairly quiet up inside here, making some moves now in the mid part of the race. Still battling alongside Famler for second place.
Fields have not been spreading out this week. They've been really close. Here comes Fambro with a great run on the bottom, but not yet enough to clear the race leader.
Yeah, he's going to compromise his run as now Tate's going to get a run on him, potentially heading through turns 1 and 2. Tate gets a little bit loose though in the middle and on exit. And here comes Tommy Ryan
trouble
now.
behind him, and big crash. The 5 of Hurley's involved.
More trucks involved as well as the caution is back out in the air. Oh, someone just got punted.
I think we had drivers bail out. Alt F4ing middle of the crash there, so apologies for not capturing that. But let's go back and have a look at how that all started on the Simrat Market replay. Contact with Rafe Slate. That's what triggered the whole thing. Then beyond that, really the 20 of Munsell got the worst. Wow, holy cow!
What? There's the cars that go flying in the air.
Who was that?
That's a great question. I'm trying to look through myself. Big Logan Harmon? No, not Logan Harmon. Oh, Cahill Holmes.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
Well, I have a fun camera that everyone should enjoy.
Oh god. Hope you enjoy your lunch outside of you. Oh god.
Oh, and he gone.
Yeah, that was a surprising one. Just had a little bit of contact. It wasn't even that much of a hit between himself and the 53.
And we have liftoff of the 41st Cahill Holmes here from the launch pad in Iowa, and off. That another small step for man. Ever. Well, that truck's
something for. I was gonna say it's something for Kevin Zhu to look into.
Yeah. To get some private investigators to that too. I think there might be some. All right, that is our 4th caution of the night. That was a multi-car accident set off by the 08 Rafe Slate. So that will end the race for Rafe Slate, Cahill Holmes, Justin Munsell, and more. After 60 laps, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of our 39 runners out already. Attrition's been high tonight.
Definitely has, especially with some single car spins and just some minor car-to-car contact, just causing some big wrecks. You saw a relatively small hit in turns 1 and 2, bringing out the first caution, and then this last one, some contact on the straightaway, which you typically don't see too often, causing a big pileup later down the pack.
Yeah, certainly. Having issues like this before, but night challenges. We're going to step away for another moment again. We've had a couple cautions in quick succession. No pit stops to talk about. We'll be right back after this break.
In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defining feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, Oak Tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak Tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although Oak Tree no longer stands, nor does Hog Pen turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist. And the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
Coming back to the restart, lap number 62 of 150 here in the Area Truck Series, round 4 of the season. Green flag back in the air and a big stack up on the inside. Fambro does not get going. Scioli and Tate, though, launch forward in there to the top 2 spots in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Tate actually gave a massive bump to the back of Scioli. He was ready to go. In fact, he's trying to do an over-under here off of turn 2. Tate to the inside in 3 and 4.
Your chance on heat cycle tires now, they're going to be weaker than when you just put tires on, but this is your chance behind him. Look at the 99 of Tommy Ryan. Just clears himself off the nose of Brad Slaughter Jr. as Tate goes to the bottom again in turn 1.
Yep. Getting the slide job done. Slaughter was like, all right, that's interesting. Interesting tactics. The 99 just placed his truck in front. Team 6 still trying to make his plays down, trying to get that spot for P1.
Got it. He's got it.
Gonna get it.
He took the lead away in 3 and 4. Scioli losing the lead for the first time tonight under green flag conditions. And Christopher Tate puts the 7 in the mirror, one of the dominant trucks of the night so far. Can he drive away now in the Expert Racing Esports car?
Yeah, this is going to be the big question here, especially because there's some really quick guys coming in behind. Fambro, Hartz, Ryan, Bell, and Slaughter all hunting for a win here. And all got some pretty fast trucks underneath them.
Big train of trucks on the outside in 3 and 4. Here's Weishart in the 33, following Brad Slaughter Jr. Nate Abbey's in here as well. Tyler Hallman in that 42. Remember his night so far. Started 21st. He's up 7 spots. Make that 8 as he dives to the inside in 3 and 4. Sun is setting here at Iowa, and the stars are coming out. Not the ones in the sky, but the ones on the road. Lap 66.
Yeah, pretty rising to the top here halfway through the race. Getting their names to the front of the board, as you mentioned, Christopher Tate. Oh, spin off a turn 2 caution back in the air.
33 of Weishart in the 5 again goes around.
Oh,
Tail it gets clobbered by Bobby Tinch there. Not a good moment for the David Weishart Racing guys. Have another look again, maybe from high above. We'll get a better idea. Is there a contact maybe? 67 of Hearn. Nope, just snaps on him, just goes around all on his own. Hallman does a great job avoiding, and then the 5 spins his truck out. Bobby Tinch right at the end there gets involved. Truck just loose tonight. Just watch it. He just bumpy over there in 1 and 2, but it just snaps on him. Everyone, look at Hallman. Great job that he did to turn down the racetrack. Let's ride on board. Of the number 42.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. You see truck spinning, you have to figure out where to go, wind down low, pick the right one.
And looks like he will live to see another day. Now pit stops for a bunch of drivers.
But not all.
Not all.
Yeah, so a couple guys in the front, Christopher Tate, James Scioli, Tommy Ryan electing to stay out, as well as Tyler Hallman, Garrett Grant, James Coey, and Jeff Noe, sorry, also to mention them, and Michael Lipe. Did I say that right?
I think it's just light.
Lipe, we'll go with that. So the top 8 all stayed out. Everyone else in behind coming on in for service. So a bit of a split strategy. I don't think it'll affect it too much because I don't think these guys have really got a whole lot of green laps under these tires. That being said, they have gotten quite a few heat cycles, stopping and going, stopping and going. So that could potentially affect them.
Yeah. I think the heat cycle is a bigger deal than the laps on the tires at this stage. You've spun them up and you've woed them down enough times now that chemically the chemical composition changes, and this happens in road racing too at the grassroots level, where I work at Grid Life, and the tire that we have a contingency for a tire for the Falcon RT 660 200 treadwear tire, and it's pretty well known that for autocross usage and general track usage that the RT 660 is an example of a tire that wears pretty well, but basically the tire is unusable before the tread is gone because the chemical hardening of the tire through repeated heat cycling will make it lose grip before the tread is gone. So that's heat cycling a tire out. That just happens very quickly on a very soft oval racing tire. Not necessarily talking always about the wear of a tire, but how it chemically changes over the course of a run. Closing in on the halfway point of this. Well, we've got a moment. Take the opportunity to thank Rick's Hot Sauce again. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. Fans, be sure to check out area iRacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Area iRacing.shop. Sun is setting here, Finney, and how much has that changed throughout the night?
It's definitely going to affect it quite a bit. We'll see. I think they took the green flag. I think it was around 72 degrees. Track temps dropped down to 68. Ambient 66, so it's going to be kind of tough for it to drop down anymore, but it has cooled down a little bit, so grip has increased, although from the Lux fit it almost looks like the grip hasn't increased. See these guys spinning out a little bit here and there, and self-spins as a matter of fact, so kind of interesting to see. You would think it's gripping up, but it almost seems the opposite.
Josh Taylor looks like he is waiting up at the end of the field here. Everyone else doubling back up. Christopher Tate chooses the outside lane for the restart. That will line Tyler Hallman up. Now Hallman, again, a lot of these drivers stayed out. So the top 5 did not come in on this pit stop. Looks like everybody, well, no, that's not true. Jeff Noe and Michael Lipe hit under the last caution about 14 laps ago. And Fambro on down, starting with 8th. They all just came in. All of them took 4 tires. So we can expect that from 8th on down, we'll see a pretty significant pace difference here in the next little bit. If we have a long green flag run, it'll be bloodbath up front, I think. We'll see how it turns out. Green flag back in the air. Christopher Tate fires off. The 26 doesn't get a good launch. And here's the 8 again going 3 wide on the start-finish line.
Wasting no time to make up spots, heading 3 wide down to try to overtake the guys who came into pit. Almost takes out the 26. Close quarters on the restart.
Not done yet. Big mess down the backstretch into turn 3. Still 3 abreast here.
See Aaron also walking around. And there's Ryan Hartz. Travis Beckner also getting around some of the slower traffic.
18 already into the mix of the cars that did not pit. He's running 6th right now. Has 5 cars ahead of him that did not come onto pit lane the last time they had the opportunity to. Fambro is on fresh Goodyears and making progress here, but where do you go now? There's a big block ahead of him, the 46 and 99.
I think you can afford to be just a little bit patient, not too patient, because he's got Matthew Bell breathing on his neck, another driver that was with him, same strategy, so again, doesn't want to let the 9 try to get on by him, so he needs to try to find some sort of way around, maybe make a 3rd lane around the outside, or try to go the inside, or you can go up the middle.
Hornet's nest through 3 and 4 here. Everyone getting very aggressive on this restart. Lighting up the racetrack, and big crossover from Cameron Hearn. I don't know if he was chasing a loose truck or changing lanes drastically. Fambro up 1 more spot in the 5th. Now we can size up the top 4 a little easier.
Yeah, Actually, it looked like he was fighting a bit of a loose truck down. He was trying to turn it left on the straightaway. Colin Famro dives down deep the inside of Tommy Ryan, going to try to fight with Holman as he gets loose off the turn 4.
Yeah, even with fresh tires, they'll light him up, try to hold that much wheel in it out of 4, and that's why that bottom lane is so tough to hang. Going to clear the 99 here and should drop in front of him here down the backstretch. He will do that. That opens the door for Matt Bell. Halfway,
and things started to heat up here. Famro trying to work down to the inside of Tyler Hallman in the 42 truck. Having a great time on 18 spots into 3rd.
Tommy Ryan under fire now from the 67 of Hearn. 46 of Garrett Grant. There he is on the bottom fighting for 9th place. He started 16th. And Travis Beckner, 23rd to 11th. First we're really seeing Rick's Hot Sauce truck be in the mix. He's got the 46 right on the quarter panel down the front straightaway.
They almost touched a few times coming out of the corner. I'm amazed they didn't actually make contact.
Brad Slaughter Jr., despite the aggression on the restarts, it hasn't really paid off all that much for him tonight. Hasn't really gone anywhere.
Yeah, look at the restart. He actually restarted in 11th, so he actually pretty much gone nowhere in general.
Wild moves, but are they working? As here's Fambro now on Scioli and has a tire advantage at this stage. But remember now that Scioli has a 1 tire set advantage over Fambro. Now, I don't think we're going to necessarily need to use all 4 sets of tires, but you don't necessarily want to find yourself in a position where you need them and can't take them. And Scioli has an extra set compared to the 18 now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think at this point I'd be surprised if, like you mentioned, I would be surprised if it comes down to it, but you never know. You never quite do know how these races are going to play out and when the caution is going to lie here. For Fambro, though, for 2nd place and even for the lead. There was a big dive to the inside. The 6 of Tim's going to get a decent, but Tate, sorry, is going to get a decent run off the corner, and so is Scioli.
Love this undershot here. The right rear suspension on this truck as it bounces over the bumps here in the corners, but fighting off Scioli on the back straightaway. Tate uses that upper groove to hang on to it for the moment, but Fambro and Matt Bell flying into the shot here as we work lap 82.
Bell's trying to make his presence known. He's going to actually work to the outside of Fambro now. And will overtake and get that spot for 3rd. Not quite clear, though.
This is a volatile mess back here, the 99, 28, and 12. While the front 3 fight for position, this is going to get very dicey.
And we stuck all the way almost to the wall, trying to rip that outside lane, get momentum, and work around the outside of Tommy Ryan. Back up near the front, still same story though. Matt Bell trying to get clear of Fambro for 3rd place.
Yeah, Fambro is beginning to fade here as Bell rockets around the outside, takes advantage of the 18 stuck on the bottom, and their progress has effectively stopped at 2nd place, James Scioli.
One thing it could be a factor, these guys are coming up on slower lap traffic that's off the pace. Depending on where they catch them, that could be a factor.
With a 9 and 6, they're going to get very tight. They're going to touch, and the 6 goes up the racetrack and into the wall.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Not to get yourself taken out. I know you just got shuffled out of the lead, but you don't want to go from bad to worse there. But he scatters. Go back and have a look at what happened at the exit of turn number 2. 9 just dives down here, pushes up kind of mid-corner. Gets into the 6 and turns him, and then a little help from the 7. Tate goes all the way back. 9th place.
It's still slowly dropping here because now the guys on fresh tires are definitely going to eat him up because he's done damage to the right side and the back of that truck.
Now with all that, Bell and Fambro have gone through to the lead. It's Bell over Fambro by 0.7 of a second. And this battle behind Tyler Hallman is hot.
So they somewhat get themselves sorted out for now.
46 and 00. In the hunt here as well. Garrett Grant, middle 3 wide in an awkward spot. He's going to try to go again, middle 3 wide to the inside of the 00 and the outside of the 19. It's just a crowded looking racetrack. Look at this mess with the 4 a couple laps down.
Yeah, Cochran off the pace, suffered damage from his involvement in an earlier wreck. Just managed to make their way on through, almost 4 wide for a second there.
Eric Wineland, we haven't talked a lot about tonight, started 15th up just 1 spot. It's been a little bit more interesting of a night than we've been able to show for Wineland, but to the outside is, oh boy, traffic, and around goes the 19 on the front straightaway.
Remain green.
Ryan Swan will drop to the tail of the field. The luck is not in his favor to get a yellow flag. This was just lap trucks on the outside that caused the stack up here. The 46 dove out of the way. The 19 and 21 didn't see it coming, and Swan went for a loop.
Yeah, and actually Swan was apologizing because he felt he was at fault because he turned into the 21 trying to avoid that lap track.
I mean, the other option was to jump on the brakes, and I think, yeah, you could blame the 19 for that. But at the end of the day, just a bad situation, and didn't get a yellow out of it. Look at this dive by Noe to the inside of Christopher Tate, who continues to fall back. That damage, I think, is a little worse than we initially thought.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was as bad as it looks. He's got damage to the left front, right front, all across the right side to the rear. Obviously, definitely the damage to the nose and the right side is really what you're going to be concerned with. They definitely affected the handling and overall speed. And it's unfortunate because that was a race-running truck at one point. Now he's falling rapidly down the order.
But Bell leads the way with 60, make that 58 laps to go. Colin Fambro runs second, then Cameron Hearn. James Scioli has slid to 4th, but with that extra tire set. Now, the one worry for him is that he lost his track position on the off chance that he could use that extra set of tires later in this race. Not sure that they're going to need it because in the next, the next 30 or 40 laps, it's going to be kind of useless to have a set of tires unless, or at least you're only going to get one more set. The situation I could see is caution comes out now, you come get tires, you go another 30 or 40 laps, and then you could use another set. But that's not super likely.
Thing is, everyone pretty much has 2 sets of tires remaining, so you can get that one set now, you get another set later, and that's pretty much it. Scioli would still have an extra set, but as you mentioned, not really going to be much use for it. So I think the other guy definitely, it seems at the moment, made the right call, and I think it's one of those games, right, you have to play, you never really know when that set of cautions, the string of cautions is going to end. And for the guys who did pit under the last caution, they benefited a lot. The guys who thought it was going to continue on and were trying to keep their track position, it didn't quite work out. They've been kind of slowly dropping back to the order. Yeah,
Bell has not yet won a race this season. He's 5th in the points. Fambro has also not won a race this season, but he does have a pole for that David Weishart Motorsport truck. So both the top 2 are winless this season. Actually, all the top 3 are winless this season. Then you get to Scioli and Hartz, who have won 1 race apiece. And 5, the other race winner of Hurley, is out in 32nd. Expecting lights to come on here pretty shortly as well, and we're getting into the nighttime. Next 55 laps, which is all we've got left. That's only 20 minutes worth of racing if we go green to the end from here. And it's intense back here. This is for 18th place in the race in 3 wide.
Yeah, no one's giving up, especially 33. David Weishart trying to make, trying to improve his position after what happened to him. He's shuffling that truck down the order, trying to make up spots. Definitely has a fast truck underneath him, just not the track position at the moment to really do anything with it.
On a recovery after his self spin, he still seems skittish through turn 2. You see the truck hit that bump, and it goes hunting up the hill. Corbin Irvin with some damage as well. Up front, though, Matthew Bell is being reeled in right now by Fambro. It's only 0.6 of a second now to lead. Fambro, I think, has got good long run pace and just wasn't good enough to get by Scioli.
See if he can continue to reel that 9 truck in as he slowly finds some traffic scattered around here and there. Finally, seems like things might have settled down for the moment.
A half a second is the gap there. Here's Jeff Noe in the 55 and diving to the bottom of Jeffrey Wilson. This is the battle for 19th place. Noe in the 55. 85 of Wilson. Getting a little tight here, the Ford F-150 versus the Chevy Silverado.
Yeah, not too many of those Ford F-150s. There's only 2 of them in this entire race. That's one of them, and the other one is Eric Weinland just up the road in 17th.
Build door to door here down the back straightaway. Noah and Wilson into 3. Battling for a top 20 spot. There's some lap traffic here to maybe use as a, oh, that's lead lap. That's Paul Irvin. They can reel in. 50 laps to go. Now this race getting into a nice rhythm here as Hartz and Beckner fight for 5th. Both Rick's hot sauce trucks.
Yeah, running well for them. 5th and 6th, trying to see if they can get up to Scully and make it both in the top 5.
And lots of traffic, and it lost Fambro a bunch of time last time by. Went down to 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, we're going to do the 44. Now the 4 you can see on the screen there. There's Hearn with side by side with the 44.
Cameron Hearn creeping into the picture as well, was one of the fastest trucks in the top 10 the last time by, and some significant left side damage to the Matco Tools truck, but still charging for a top 5 as we go back to Hartz and Beckner. The great scrap between these two.
Faster than even Cameron Hearn is Brad Slaughter Jr., who's finally been able to make some progress, worked himself into 7th. Ooh, got a tap from behind. Shane Abbott took him out, coming off turn 4.
We're in the stage now where this race can end very fast. Now, those that didn't pit on the previous stop, they're at lap 36 on their, or lap 65 on their run for some of these drivers, including James Scioli. That would mean that they're going to have to hit pit lane before the end of this race. I would imagine that the others will have to as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there is a split. I'll be even more surprised why those other guys decided to stay out. If the window opened up, would have been an ideal time to pit. Maybe that's why we saw so many guys pit. Potentially the number opened up and they were able to hit their number. If we went green for the end, they're placing their bet on us going green to the end.
The strategy is really simple if we get at least one more caution, which I think is likely. But if we don't, then things could get interesting. The 88 really struggling, big bouncing in 1 and 2. Justin Anasogak down there in 16th place. But everyone is kind of finding a rhythm, and we're down about 8 or 9 cars from the beginning of the race, so the chances for a yellow have begun to come down towards the end of this.
Yeah, especially because we haven't really seen these guys spread out and being eliminated on this run, so not quite know what's going to happen. We could argue the tires wearing out if anyone starts to get more and more loose as the run goes on. Once the tires start to roll away.
17 minutes worth of racing remain. Battle back here in the 99 and 46. Tommy Ryan on the bottom. Garrett Grant right behind him, but there's lap traffic that's going to slow them down.
Yeah, Ryan very compromised his exit with that lap car. Now going to look to the inside. Garrett Grant's going to look to the inside. Can't quite get the run there. Looks like Ryan's still going to have that top side defend successfully.
Tyler Hallman, big lunge. Thought we'd see a little bit more out of Tyler, but he decided to stay out. And again, I think that the strategy here is going to be what hurts him. He had a great climb earlier in this race, but now he's kind of on the back foot, having a lot older tires than those around him.
Yeah, I mean, he's 4th of the guys that did stay out, 4th of the 8 guys that did stay out. So, I mean, he's not doing terrible, but there's nothing really much he can do to better himself. So he's kind of stuck with this strategy, and he's going to have to pit in the near future.
Jacob Bell has been on pit lane 5 times tonight. He is certainly in a position, he's got 42 laps on his tires, so kind of the same as the front runners at the moment. But his night, again, always seems to be quiet, but he makes his way towards the front at the end of the race, kind of a closing act. I like going forward towards the end and not the other direction.
Leaders trying to see if they're approaching any more traffic. Looks like they're pretty clear.
Yeah, Fembro's still gaining ground on Matthew Bell, but overall losing. So it's every time I check in, he's a tenth or so quicker, and every time I look away, drops back down a couple more tenths. Quicker that time. Reels it back in about 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, the quickest driver in the top 10 last time by was Colin Fambro, actually. So some small trades back and forth. Paul Irvin, truck destroyed down on pit lane. I think that was from an earlier incident as he gets some service to that 48, and so does the 53.
Lath Hicks on pit lane, getting some service. I think we might see a couple more drivers elect to come on down, but some might try to go the distance here. Matthew Bell and Colin Fambro, if they can, they will do so. 1.1 seconds, now 1 second flat. Fambro continues to just chip away. It's only a couple hundredths of a second a lap. Time is time.
Yeah, time is ticking.
AJ Roderick and, ooh, Weishart gets by Roderick, who is in the wall out of turn 4. Here's what happened to the 56. Throttles up a little early and just scrapes it.
Yeah, that wall is really annoying because it sucks to you like a vacuum. You get stuck to it, you have to slow down, turn a bit hard left to get back off of it, and then you can finally get going back in the way. Did no real damage, but slowed him down enough to lose that spot.
Jacob Bell and Justin and Sogak fighting for 15th place between each other. Up off the corner and down the back straightaway. Bell trying to defend from the 88 on the upper groove, where I think the defense is a little easier. Big counter steer correction for Bell, and he drives it up off the corner and clears the 88 for now.
I'm generally curious how the guys that are doing fuel. Like, I think if they need to pit, they probably would have already. There are no signs of any of them coming in. So I want to believe that they're good on fuel, but I'm not quite sure. It's really close for them.
I feel a lot better about the guys that came in already recently, the last 50 or so laps. And Michael Lipe hits pit lane, a 6 truck.
Yeah, he was one of the leaders that decided to stay out. So he's come on in.
32 laps to go. Not a long run. Not a lot of time to make up ground that you lose in this segment. Back to Bell and Sogak. This one is far from over. I think the 88's a little quicker, but making progress on the bottom. That's a challenging proposition this late in the race on this old of a tire.
Yeah, I think at this point you pretty much have to run the middle or the top lane. You can see most of the majority of the trucks running in that lane. Bottom lane really not inhabited by many people unless they're really just trying to dive it down there in the corner.
On board with the 88 and Sogak. Here's some contact, and I think it was the 77 that found the wall. And behind them, Jeff Noe and Eric Wineland going back at it for 17th place.
Yeah, not running that bottom lane. Wineland on the top, I would say, especially at this point in the run, the more preferred lane. So hard to keep the momentum up now with the older tires, but Noe is still keeping it in there, trying to see if he can clear the 21.
30 laps to go. We're approaching 10 minutes left in this race, and these drivers still fighting hard, knowing that this could be the last green flag run to the end. They might not get a chance at a restart, might not get a chance on fresh tires, so you got to use it now. Here's Hearn and Scioli. This is a battle for 3rd place. Scioli, I will give him credit where credit is due. He is making this stick on tires that are at this point 83 laps old, is still running 4th.
Yeah, he's done a really fantastic job managing these tires. Again, I'm still a bit concerned with his fuel more than anything else, but he's definitely got some pace still, despite the fact that these guys have had almost 20-30 laps newer tires. He still didn't drop that far down, dropped back to 4th, obviously lost the lead, but all things considered, not too bad, considering he was at a pretty big disadvantage.
Actually running Cameron Hearn back down. He's kind of matching lap times with the 67. Which is extra impressive since Cameron Hearn hit 30 laps later than the 7 truck.
question is, can Scarlett have an tire to get around 67? I think that's going to be the next big question as we look at David Weishart working on the back of Tommy Ryan in the 99. This is 411. This has been a great recovery for the 33.
Yeah, nice crossover there as well. Kind of diamonded the corner. Now tries the high side in 1 and 2. Gets to the outside of the 99. And he should be able to drive right up around him here on the back straightaway. See that momentum carry you down the stretch, that longer way around. And the 26 on fresh tires should go right by, but Weishart passed the 99. That's a battle for 11th, and only 1.2 seconds to Garrett Grant. So it's possible that Weishart finishes top 10 after having that big scary spin in the backstretch earlier in the race. Up front, no changes there. Matthew Bell continues to lead out of 126 laps we've completed. He's led 43. Scioli has led 57. So Bell could also end up leading most laps this race if he goes on to win this.
Also battled brewing for 6th place Beckner and Brad Slaughter. Slaughter all over the back of the 28, starting to mount some pressure.
Beckner lost touch with his teammate Ryan Hartz just up the road. Now Brad Slaughter Jr. is sizing up the Rick's Hot Sauce 28 Chevrolet. And to the bottom, big lunge into turn 1.
Yeah, he had the truck yard out sideways so much he actually left some tire tracks going off the turn 1.
Running your tires sideways like that isn't probably going to find you a lot of progress. The top side will, though, at this stage, and goes up to 3 and 4. And watch him gain about a car length or 2 down the front stretch. Well, I don't think it's as big of a gain in 1 and 2. But in 3 and 4, watch him again. He'll run the high side. Watch him throttle up right here. Watch the distance. And as soon as he gets back on the front straight, even with the slight bobble there, this gap is going to just shrink a little bit. But Beckner is a little bit better in 1 and 2. And as I say that, Brad turns down to the bottom and gains some ground.
Making some decent time as they both head on the back straightaway, not quite able to get alongside at the moment. He's still trying to work out to lane. Tommy Ryan, he announced he was coming down to pit lane. There he is, and in behind him, I believe it's 6th, Christopher Tate.
Yep.
Notably, both of those guys stayed out. It's not looking good for Scioli.
No, it's not. 20 laps to go, too, so you're not going to have a lot of time to use your new tires at this stage. You're basically just praying for a yellow and make everybody come onto pit lane, essentially, is what would happen. If the yellow were to come out, no one would try to stay out at this point.
Yeah. I think for Scioli at this point, he might as well stay out because he's locked in, so he doesn't worry about championship points. He's just trying to really just get a win at this stage in the season. So might as well stay out, hope the caution comes out, and see what happens.
Whoa.
Otherwise, whoa, hello.
Matthew Cochran, a couple laps down. Track position there to Cameron Hearn. And here comes Scioli on the pit lane, and yep, he'll have to sacrifice 4th spot. Valiant effort, but caution didn't come out in time for him.
Thought I almost saw him get taken out there.
Caution!
Oh,
no!
And the caution comes out.
Oh, that is an absolute bummer.
And that was just as Garrett Grant and Tyler Hallman just came down into pit lane.
Oh, man.
Sure, they're all smashing their dashboards and cursing the racing gods.
The racing gods were not kind there. Had they stayed out one more lap, they would have been in a great position, or at least a less bad one. It was Christopher Tate who was just on pit lane, and kind of a weird spin here. Fresh off pit lane here, Finney. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, I'm laughing because Garrett Grant just came on the radio. He's like, yeah, it couldn't happen one lap earlier.
Fresh tires, not up the temp, and just lost it.
Oh.
Well, that is going to set us up for a late race restart, and everybody else is going to take this opportunity to come to pit lane. Now, here's good news, or maybe there's some good news. Did the 7 stay on the lead lap? He did not. He did go a lap down. So that is going to give him the wave around. I was going to say, if it worked out so that they didn't lose a lap, they could have just taken the lead, and that would have worked out well for them. But this track is so short, he went a lap down, and hence we'll start at tail end of the field of those that are pitting now.
If we were speaking, though, it helped them out a lot more with them not going a lap like you said, would have made a jump straight up to the lead and pretty much with brand new tires. But unfortunately, because he went a lap down, he's going to have to come in all the way in behind all the other guys that are on the lead lap.
Now, who wins the race off pit lane? Matthew Bell has been leading this for a while. He will lead race off pit lane. Looks like Colin Fambro will come out right behind him. Then Cameron Hearn. David Weishart up into 4th place. And with a 2-tire call for his truck. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, I mean, I guess you just, might as well try something. It's almost enough laps left where I would say that kind of where you want, maybe that's worth it. It jumped him up, I think, around, I want to say 6 to 8 spots from where I last saw him running. So gained quite a bit of position, and you could argue you may only really need the right side tire. So
I like this.
Let's see here.
I like this call. Here's why. What did we see last night with late race cautions? More cautions, and I think this is a good call. As long as you finish better than 11th, if you're David Weishart, this was a net positive, and you have the potential to score a top 5 or maybe even better with all the chaos you're about to see. We could see a bunch of late race yellows. You only have one chance at green-white checkered, so your opportunity to lose spots is a lot less severe than your opportunities to gain them with this strategy call. So I like this decision. I think he needs everyone else to get a little bit messy here in the closing moments to really be able to capitalize fully on this.
I mean, he definitely, like you mentioned last night, definitely has the chance to get messy in this race for these guys. Ryan Hart's working his way up through the. Never mind, sorry, you got him past caution for a second.
So you're watching the Area Truck Series Round 4. Next week is an off week for us, and we'll be back the following week at Gateway for Cup Series and the Truck Series, and then we'll be at IRP for the Launch Box Series. And this week, we've got a Launch Box Series on Thursday night. That will be right here at Iowa Speedway on October 27th. That's what's coming up here on Sim TV. We've got the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. That will be tomorrow night from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. There are the NC Generation MX-5 alongside the Ford FR500 Mustang. So some road racing action tomorrow night and next week. That's the only thing on Sim TV next week as we work our way into November.
Yeah, they're going to be at the new track next week. Skogan, if I'm saying that right. Probably butcher that.
Sure. Not going to try it. I think that's what we're doing. 1 to green. Lights on the pace truck extinguish. Matthew Bell. Line will he choose? Like the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, we'll say this is the first time that Bell's going to be leading the field down to a restart. Actually, yes, I'm correct. This is going to be the first time leading down. And Fambro just can't seem to catch a break. He's been restarting second all night long.
It's the hardest place to restart. Getting really used to it. All right, some beat up trucks. Time to go racing. We're going to have a 12-lap run to the end. If we go about 5 or 6 laps, that's the danger zone for a green-white checkered and get us into our one chance at overtime. But for now, 12 laps. We're under 10 miles remaining here at Iowa. The Area Truck Series back underway from Iowa Speedway. Matthew Bell, a clean, free launch. Brings Hearn with him. Everybody else scatters. Look at the 8 to the outside in 1.
Otter being very aggressive on these restarts today and immediately pull back in line. I think was just trying to fake someone else, see if he can get a
Whoa,
spot.
look at the 18. Splits the difference between the 67 and 3 and to the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3.
Down the gap, and he's going to try to go for it here. If he can slide ahead of Hearn, he can't. Hearn's going to get the run off the corner.
Down the front straightaway. Cameron Hearn. Oh, there's one truck. I think that's Jeff No slowing on the front straight, but we're still rolling. 11 laps to go this time through. Hearn up the road. Fambro is going to have to tuck back in line for now.
Oh, Fambro charged it hard into turn 3. Almost took out the 67, trying to get to that outside lane and get a run. He's
Oh,
get
spinner, 77 out of turn 4 down the racetrack. Caution is out. Bell self-spins. Have a look at on the Simrat Market replay. Way on the bottom, just too low out of the groove, and it just steps out on him.
Yeah, no one else making contact, and that's going to play into Weishart's hands. Less laps than he needs to go.
Fans, be sure to check out simratmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Simrat Market replay brought to you by Simrat Market. Matthew Bell, Cameron Hearn, Colin Fambro, your leaders. Weishart dropped a couple of spots down to 6th, but still a net gain. And this next restart is going to be with maybe 5 laps to go, Finian, so that's not a lot left that he has to hang on for.
Yeah, and unless things go catastrophically for him, like him getting taken out or spinning out by himself, I think this should, regardless, result in a net positive. So as long as he just can kind of keep things going in the right direction, and also just hope that these laps whittle on down for him. He's, like we were talking about, these cautions coming out, these short ones, playing to his hands, playing to his favors.
That's moments here now. Anybody on pit lane? Bobby Tinch, a couple others, but nobody from up front. Not worth it at this stage in the race. Matt Bell has really been. Scioli dropped out, the dominant truck of this race. Now Matt Bell's season so far, all top 10s, best finish of 5th last week at Sonoma.
Yeah.
Only race where he didn't start or finish in 7th or 5th was at Daytona, where he started 19th.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, for Matthew Bell, a new runner this season for area in both this and the Cup Series on Monday, and has not gotten a win yet in either series, so could be looking at win number 1 for his career in this league.
Time through, we're going to get 2 to green. Cameron Hearn, a restart alongside him. Cameron Hearn's season documented that he is 7th in the standings. His season has been a little bit less spectacular. 14th at Daytona, 21st last week at Sonoma. Some forgettable races, but Rockingham started on pole and finished 2nd there. Certainly the short track's kind of right up his alley here. In terms of statistically, Cameron Hearn led the most laps on short tracks season 2, which was last season. That was 130 laps. He has led none tonight, but he's right in the mix for this win.
Yeah, and also I have to mention too, he had 4 wins last season at Michigan, Darlington, Dover, and Phoenix. So it's a bit surprising to see him kind of down in 7th, but just not had a good opening start. But again, he could be looking for season win number 1 here if he can try to find some sort of way around the 9, which has been a tough thing to do. The leader's been pretty safe for the most part, unless there's been a tire difference. Haven't seen a whole lot of fighting or exchanges for the lead. We did actually say that, but we did see the 6 manage to get around James Scioli earlier on the race. Speaking of James Scioli, we'll be back in 14th.
We got an extra pace lap here, so our actual restart is going to be with 4 laps to go, so that will guarantee that the next caution would be our green-white checkered. And that would also mean that that'd be our last opportunity to have a yellow flag. So I'm still liking the call David Weishart made. Not a race-winning call, but it's certainly a call that will advance your position, and that's the call that, or the result of your call, and I'd say that was a good one and one worth making.
That definitely was a smart call. I think just kind of looking and I think realizing these cautions are also taking a little bit longer, and if you can just hope for one more caution, it's significantly shortened the race for him. From 14 down to just having that to do 4 laps. Did lose 2 spots, but I mean, gonna have to lose a few spots because he's at a disadvantage with only 2 tires, but only has 4 more laps to go. Just has to hold on for 4 more laps to try to get as many spots as he can get.
All right, this time through, lights shutting off atop the official pace truck, and Matt Bell again selects the bottom of the racetrack. Cameron Hearn goes to the top. Colin Fambro, though, in line on the bottom following that 9 truck, and there has been no one more aggressive. Well, that's not true. Brad Slaughter has been the most aggressive. Second most aggressive on these restarts has been that 18 truck. Once he's got that thing spooled up, been slow to get rolling, but once he is rolling, been a force to be reckoned with off into the other end of the racetrack.
Thing is, though, we don't have any laps to get up to speed. As we mentioned, only 4 laps to go here, so if you're going to make a move, you have to find the pace quickly. and make a move because Matthew Bell is waiting for nobody.
Field is getting ready to go racing. 4 laps is all that remains in the 4th round of the season for the Area iRacing Truck Series. Bell, Hearn, side by side as they come off of turn 4. 4 laps remaining as we hit the Geico restart zone and firing off. Look at the 8 truck again on the bottom of the racetrack. And the 9 jumps to the high side, 3 wide into turn 1.
Yeah, Brad Sauter, there was a big checkup on the inside lane. Sauter taking advantage of the work to the inside of Beckner. Can't quite get on past the single file out in the front.
Trucks in the wall, the backstretch into turn 3. Here comes the 67 to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to try to muscle his way by the 9. He can't do it. This time, 3 laps to go now, but the 67 gave it a shot, and there's trucks in the wall in the background. Wineland is one of them. The 7 of Scioli is the other. We stay green. Everybody splits the difference, and there goes the 48 in turn 1. Caution is going to come out. Big crash.
That's a long one here at Iowa.
That took about a half a lap to finish. That will bring us into overtime. Let's have a look on the Simrat Market replay. It was Eric Wineland, the first truck I saw turn sideways.
Fabro not happy at all that that caution came out. Anything that he had going for him.
Wow. Wineland just got loose.
No, whatever he plays, like driving or ping pong. Ping pong back and forth, and then that second one was interesting.
Yeah, so I think the best onboard is going to be with Tommy Ryan. Saw all this and caused kind of the second half of it. Here's the onboard with the 99 truck.
You see everyone's spread out across the entirety of the racetrack and coming up off the corner to 21, getting a little bit loose into the Scioli, and both of them go flying to the wall. He gets knocked down below from Jeff No, I think. Back over the track and ended up spinning out the 48.
Caught up some others as well. Jacob Bell got a piece of this. Let's ride on board with him out the passenger side windshield. Just tried to get through it, and the second crash happened, and he was directly caught up in that one. And that will bring out this stage, our Area Truck Series gap. 8 yellows. 3 laps to go. We are going to get overtime now, and start is very important. Now, Famber will get another shot at this. So will Hearn. Hearn almost had Bell passed in 3 and 4 on the lap of the restart. Take a little bit more effort to get on by him, though.
Yeah, and just to see what's going to happen here on this restart, because Famber was irritated because they've gotten up to speed, because obviously it takes these trucks a little while to get up to speed and kind of get themselves situated. So it's kind of nice for his case that he had those extra 2 laps. Now they're only going to have 2 laps to go coming to the green flag. So he doesn't really have a whole lot of time to get back to speed. Cameron Hearn, I mean, you could see him trying to make a dive like that. Oh, what we saw him doing 3 and 4, probably just finishing off the move is going to be the tough thing.
Start of the race with 39 trucks. There are 26 on the racetrack at the moment, and of those 26, 23 are on the lead lap. It has been a night of attrition. Kind of here, there, and a couple of big crashes taken out, 2 or maybe even 4 trucks like we saw a couple times tonight. Matthew Bell, at this point, is clinched, most laps led. 67, no one else can run any more than him.
Has done a solid job of the entirety of the second half of the race. We're going to see, can he finish the job? I assume the lights are going to go off on the base truck now. We'll have 2 laps.
Next time we're going to get the lights off. This is that extra lap I was talking about. This is an unnecessary lap to complete the caution sequence, but for whatever reason, this particular track has an extra yellow flag lap, and will put us at 155 laps as our final race distance. So we got the yellow with 3 laps to go, actually 4 to go, and we're going to have 5 laps over the scheduled distance. That's too many yellow flag laps, iRacing. You don't need that many. It's a short track. The first lap, you got to catch up to the pace car. 1 lap to pit for the lead lap cars, 1 lap to pit for the lap down cars, and 1 more lap to get them, at most 4 laps, right?
Yeah, you would think, and typically how it is at most tracks, except for this one, like you said, for some reason, it's just size and on that second extra lap.
All right, well, will Bell choose bottom again? I'd say it's safe that he will do such things. Pace truck lights this time should have the amber lights extinguish. And yes, they will. So Bell selects the bottom. Hearn goes to the top. Fambro now being set for his restart. This is a critical one for him. Really allow himself to be the one to pass that 9 instead of the 67.
The question is, if you're in his case, where do you go? Because it's going to be, well, he's got a better view of the 9 and can potentially get a better start. He's going to be battling with Cameron Hearn. He has to worry about clearing Cameron Hearn, and then also has to find some sort of way around the 9 truck.
Well,
it's going to be very tough to do.
Here's the good news. They give these trucks a very special piece of equipment. And can you guess what that piece of equipment might be?
The bumper.
Yes, you got it. I'll take body parts for 400, Alex.
We'll see how aggressive they'll be here. 2 laps to go.
All right, time to go racing. Overtime, our one and only attempt. Checkers or wreckers for this one. Green flag back in the air. And we're racing in Iowa. The 18 does not get going at all. The 28 splits him 3 wide. 4 wide into turn 1 for a moment.
Probably one of the worst restarts he's had all night long, as you mentioned, in the middle between the 20 and the 3. Both teammates are going to have to sort themselves out with that. Cameron Hearn in the wall off of turn 2.
The 18 going to try to gain his time back in 3, but it's going to be too little too late. Slides up the racetrack, the 3 of hearts to the outside. He squeezes up there. White flag, 1 more lap around.
As Hearn he's in the wall trying to make some time here, get a run on the number 9 truck. Here they go. He's got 1 more attempt in turn 3.
Everybody heads down the back straightaway. This is it. This is the last shot. Hearn's going to drive it in deep into 3, but he's too high. He's way too high up the racetrack in 3 and 4. Matthew Bell dominates at Iowa, comes back. He wins it. He gets it done at round 4. Cameron Hearn second place into Hartz, Slaughter, Fambro, the rest of your top 5.
Yeah, I think that went as well as it could have for the number 9. His other 2 rivals fumbled the start in some way, shape, or form. He was able to get that victory.
And definitely a fumble by those behind him. But Matthew Bell dominated that and deserved that as much as anybody. Well done. He will celebrate here on the front straightaway with burnouts. And for the first time in his area career in the Truck Series this season, Matthew Bell will burn it down. There he goes. I was wondering, waiting for it to kick into gear. In this race, he led 72 of 155 laps. Get the job done and block himself into the Area Truck Series playoffs. Let's have a look here at our race results. Matthew Bell, Reinhardt, Brad Slaughter Jr. How about Brad grabbing a podium out of that at the tail end? Colin Fambro finishes a disappointing 4th. Travis Beckner in 5th. And James Scioli, after all of that, only finished this race out down in 22nd.
So Cameron Hearn, you see him, he's listed all the way in 21st, and I was wondering, I was like, why did I show Brad Slaughter finishing in 3rd? I saw him call across the line 4th. Well, Cameron Hearn got a jumping the start penalty. We're talking about that new system that iRacing implemented recently, where you have the restart zone, you have to obey the line, and unfortunately, Cameron Hearn jumped the start.
Well, that is a bummer, but we do have Brad Slaughter Jr. in here, who finished 3rd on the night. Brad, you were on it on the restarts all night long, fighting tooth and nail for what you could get. And in the last couple restarts, that paid off. A penalty for the 67 brings you home 3rd. Take us through your night. It was a wild one to watch.
Yeah, that was a tough break for Cameron, but man, what a night. I didn't expect to end up top 3, much less top 5. But yeah, the restarts, man, I was trying to get everything I could get on every restart tonight because I knew it was really tough to pass. Track position was key. I mean, it was so important. Track position was huge tonight. So I just tried to get everything I could on every restart and time them up best I could. Almost got into some trouble on a few of them, but it worked out. And like I said, that bad luck for Cam, and that's tough because he had a really fast truck. But yep, happy with the top 3 for sure.
All right, hey Brad, congratulations. A strong run tonight, P3 for the number 8. See you next week. 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. I just want to give a few shout outs real quick. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in. Shout out to all our sponsors over here at DWR. We got Matco and Lumar on this season. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Brad. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Week off next week. Enjoy it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Alrighty. Moving on now to Ryan Hartz. He brings it home in second in the number 3. He won a race this season. Tonight comes up 4/10 short at the tail end there. Ryan, what'd you need to get by Matthew Bell there? A couple late race restarts, but not quite enough to get to the top.
Yeah, I didn't expect to finish second. Yeah, I was very surprised by Cameron getting DQ'd. I don't really know why he got DQ'd, but
Jump start
I'm
on
sure
the
that'll
restart.
On the, I was actually just correcting. It's on the second to last restart. I'm just looking at it now because I was looking at the final restart. He was fine. The restart prior, he had a slight bit where he just went in before the number 9,
yeah.
and that's what caused him.
I remember now. I remember that. I didn't think that was going to be a penalty, but yeah, I was excited that I got second. I was really happy I got third. Yeah, I made that 3 wide move on the top, and I was. I really I was getting loose on the top, and I was nervous because I wanted to be on the bottom when we were 3 wide, but luckily I made that top line work. But forget about me. I'm more happy for Matthew Bell because I've been friends with him for years now, and he just recently joined this series. So congrats to him, everybody at IRLC Motorsports. You know, they've been doing a great job ever since Daytona. So.
Hey, Ryan, congratulations. A strong run tonight. We're about to talk to Matt, who gets his first win ever here in area. Congratulations on a second. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the next truck race.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to thank everybody at Rick's Hot Sauce for coming on board, everybody at JBR, and thanks to you guys for also doing the broadcast, and I will see you guys next week.
All right, we'll see you there, Ryan.
Thanks.
Next up, Matthew Bell, for the first time ever in his area career, gets it done at Iowa. Round 4 of the season goes to Matthew Bell in the number 9 Logitech Toyota Tundra. Matt, congratulations. Hard-fought one tonight. He had to hang on to some late race restarts there. Led a whole bunch of laps and won this one. Take us through your night. Had some good battles there and had to really be on top of it on those restarts.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pretty uneventful race for me, at least. I don't think I had the speed to beat Scioli straight up, but I thought I had at least a top 3 truck with him up here. But we got that caution, I think 20 laps in a run, and we all pitted and he stayed. And that kind of just put it into my hands where I just had to perform on the restart and pass everyone that pitted with us. And I ended up doing that. And then I think I had a pretty good shot. If it just went green the whole way, I started to pull a bit. But yeah, made me sweat for it a bit.
Well, you sweat for it, but you burned it down at the end of the night. Congratulations, Matthew. It's a hard track to beat people on when you got to defend on late race cautions. People just can throw it into the corner there. The 67 got a penalty for jumping one of those starts, but you hung on and got it done. So congratulations, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
All right, Finian. Finishing things out this evening, great job by Matthew Bell. He did a great job, but James Scioli finishes the race in 22nd. Have to feel for him with how dominant he was in the early stages of it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to walk out of here a little bit disappointed, especially also being caught in that late race incident with Wineland. So it's going to put him even further down the order. But like we said, he's already got a win to his name. He's kind of just out there really just to increase his win total. So as far as making it to the playoffs, he's already accomplished his goals. So he was able to take the risk. Unfortunately, it worked out for him, but some really solid racing up at the front near the end. Seeing Cameron Hearn and Colin Fanro pretty much gave it everything they could in those last few runs to try to beat Matthew Bell, but unfortunately wasn't enough.
And Matthew Bell, your winner of round number 4. Week off for the Truck Series next week, but we do have one more race here this week. That's for the Lodgebox Series on Thursday. Then we'll take next week off, back for Gateway on week number 5. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week here on SimTV.